Log recording 7:54 in the morning, 7:55 in the morning West Coast time. It's February 6th, 2024. Morning, guys. Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? Still, we were John C. Roseman, California. Still getting soaked outside, and certainly other areas of my town are getting trampled on by, or actually getting slimed out, like from mudslides and stuff. We got neighbors trying to help out neighbors regarding their cars being stuck in the mud. 4x4s with tow chains are the only ones trying to keep the other cars going because there's no way in hell we can get tow trucks out here. So we're our own tow company here. So far, the freeways haven't been shut down yet, which is a good thing and good sign. But as of right now, all I can do is just watch the show outside my window there. Always reacting, always reacting to last night and the weather system, and I just wanted to talk about it. That's why I posted what I did on standard. I'll change the titles a little bit later on that one. When I heard about Toby Keith, like at first I felt disgust for the bastard, but then again, I had to read some other information about him, so mellowed me out a little bit. I mean, taken up by cancer sucks, and I can only say God rest his soul and condolences to his family. At one time, maybe I had listened to his music back in the '90s. I wasn't paying attention to politics until we actually had the 2016 elections and everything else went hell in a handbasket. And when I started seeing stars and actors, singers going over to, they're going to see something, and they get seen by Trump and say, "Yeah, he's a good guy." I'm thinking to myself, "Oh God, they're contaminated." I'm not thinking about contamination of liberal ideas or anything else like that. Keith was an independent, but the problem was you get touched by Trump, you get touched by slime, and you're forever contaminated. Reputations and all, which sucks. Storm system and the moisture is still flowing through. Every so often, I have to keep refreshing the page on the Weather Channel just to see the radar, see how it's going. We are getting the radar information from Edwards Air Force Base and from a couple other sources, so it's pretty recent. We're still getting nailed by the damn water vapors. It's almost 8 o'clock. About an hour, I got my appointment with the doctor. And yeah, before I do it, I'm looks like they're going to be killing off the landline service. Okay, I got to get that news story. Try this one. I heard about this one. I couldn't believe this crap. That plug-in phone of yours. Say goodbye to it. Regulations that happened back in 22. Well, major providers will no longer be required to provide landline service as they focus on their bottom line. It's only a matter of time before they end the service completely. If anybody's going to be doing some lawsuits on this one, we might as well. But guess what? AT&T is kicking its ass and saying bye bye. Which means this. This is a phone charger, by the way. Actually, the phone card going to my computer and charging it up. The cell phone is the new phone, or the current landline. If you want to look at it that way. The one that you actually hook up and actually have service providers give phone connections in this place. Well, they're no longer going to be required by AT&T to do this shit. AT&T is going to say to you, you got a cell phone, use it. You have free phones out there, go get them. Because of the regulations and expirations of them. It's the end of the era. Much like the end of the era concerning about the phone booths. You were growing up as a kid, you saw phone booths all over the damn place. Those damn things were there forever, weren't they? You got phone companies producing them, landlines all over the place, on poles and other things, and you'd see these huge ass boxes with the windows and metal cage in here, and after the corner you got the phone and before you picked up that receiver, 25 cents, please. It says a nickel. 25 cents, please. You're not getting out of the cage alive. I got a dollar bill. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. The phone company will charge you the entire dollar. We'll have somebody come over here to unweld the door. We'll collect that dollar from you. And then we'll require the 5 cents for you to plug in for the first 1 second. That's how it seemed like sometimes. Kept looking at people saying, you gotta change, 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 you gotta change. You had to carry your own piggy bank with you. Or maybe a coin changer. Just so you can pull out the right coins and put them in the thing. I'm putting it in there as fast as I can, Bill, but unfortunately it's still digging. Keep it up. We want all the money. Imagine having a smart ass operator on the other end. How about the operator put in the plugs in the boards? Remember those? You don't? Shit, you were too damn young. There were comedy uh, series a long time ago, comedy variety shows. And we would see actors and actresses going through this one here. One ring dingy, two ring dingy. God, I am getting too damn old when I can't even remember. I can remember the faces, but I can't even remember the names. Good Lord. Hold on a second. On some of the comedy shows that we've actually had, the one actress, and she's a dear. I wish I had met her in my lifetime. She would play this character, and she is uh, betraying one of those women who use the phone boards a lot. You call for long distance, here she is. You call for short distance, here she is. You have an operator working in your basement or somewhere. Her character would be there. Back in 1970, when we had comedy shows during that time, one of the skits she would be playing, and you can actually locate it on YouTube, by the way. You'd be worried about whether or not you're going to have this one, Ernestine, the telephone operator, whether or not she's going to be making your call correctly or not, and actually drive you crazy over it. Especially if you're going to be the one receiving your call from her. There was one thing on the YouTube called Ernestine, the telephone operator calls General Motors. Oh, that still gets a chickle right there. But the technology you saw, well, the plug-in boards, been outdated for years. Electronic and digital. Now we got circuitry and farms, huge buildings, power constraints, transferring data points left and right. I have underwater cables transferring internet service and telephone services. Besides the satellite connections we had, we can also have the underground um, cable lines. I couldn't believe it. That what was it, about, oh God, about a lifetime ago. They were phasing out the telephone booths. For the big, huge metal boxes, people used them for homes. A homeless in the street, if the phone wasn't used for a hell of a long time, it was home for somebody else. And there was no law against it. Some people just try to shoot the other person out. Or better yet, when you see these kind of phones in the train stations, certain train stations would allow it if as long as the guy or the person wasn't giving anybody else grief, then I guess that's going to be okay. But if that's the only phone around, that's the only thing you had, and then they would give you grief because that was their home. Phones got to the point where to take out the shielding. Besides, the phones are also constantly rated anyway for money. I mean, how much change could you actually store in that box without it getting knocked out or just ripped out? The phones become inoperable when the phone booths are still there until the phone company decides they're taking them all out. Very few places actually do have landlines. Public telephones are almost obsolete. Very few phones are still out there operating, but they're still out there. These days, we depend so much of our cellular communications. You know what would scare the hell out of people left and right? Once, if the major companies decide to take them out, all the landlines, and nobody uses them, then our cellular communication goes out. I'm thinking of a what if scenario here. Yeah, I know. It's my morning, get the phlegm and crap out of my damn lungs here. But imagine that one there. Not about the phlegm portion, but I'm talking about what if all the landlines are gone and cellular communication gets bye bye. How do we live in a world like that? What would scare the hell out of me is if we actually had if we had, let's see, EMG, electromagnetic pulse, or EMP they called it, but a wavelength hitting us, maybe a cosmic, that the atmosphere couldn't take care of. If our own magnetic sphere couldn't take care of that kind of pulse that hits the Earth, and if we get a solar flare large enough, powerful enough to take out our communications, not to mention the satellites we have dependent upon communications, all we're left is landlines. But if they're gone out, then what do we do for communications? Pony Express? Scary, isn't it? I think about it from time to time. I worry about sometimes all the dependency we got for the current technology and upgrading to 4 or 5, maybe 6G. Almost instant communications, maybe different devices. I kept envisioning a few other items left and right that we could be hooked up to. We even tried talking about it back in the 90s when we were getting into the cellular communications. We've already had the wrist radios back in the 20s and 30s when we were talking about that kind of technology. We're talking about it in the serials. We were talking about it in the cartoons. We were talking about it in the books. About different forms of communications. You could go, yeah, 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 yeah. Remember the movie Remember the TV series of Johnny Sacco and the Iron Robot? Okay, has a watch on here, flips up the antenna, and go, giant robot. I've seen that damn thing too many times. That damn movie. Clips put into an Americanized movie, and then we can see this whole thing and just drive us crazy with it. But we had Dick Tracy with the miniaturized radio on it. Oh, Dick Tracy to headquarters here. You know, we have that technology this day. Somewhere down the line, we've got cell phones that could be, actually, wristwatches could be turned into Bluetooth instantly. Hook into our cell phone technology. we can communicate with people left and right instantly. There have been science fiction novelties out there. Uh, for the 50th anniversary of Star Trek The Next Generation, one company actually made a lexicon into a Bluetooth. Only I still couldn't figure out how to work that damn piece of shit. I'm dependent upon these damn things. Portable enough to stick in my pocket there. I got larger ones I use. But these things could be hooked up to the cell phone with Bluetooth technology. It cost me $25. Was it worth it? I don't know. Sometimes the sound quality is not so good, but it's still hooked up to them, so I can talk to people about that on it. Instead of using a speakerphone, I could just talk to them on that one. It'll sound real tinny. It's like the old transistor radio headphone without the plural, just the wire with a little bit of a electronic compiling components in there and shoving them all in a little earbud. You shove it in there with the wire going into the phone, and then you hear this tinny thing coming out of the components. That's the best sound they actually had. Shit. Try listening to music on that damn thing. Then you start hearing things in its tinniness. That's the only thing I could say for it. Well, what can I say about our level of technology these days? There was a show called Tech War that William Shatner created in his books, and it translated onto screen. There is devices used to install neuroelectrical invasion into your brain, where you get your high or something like that. It goes straight through the nervous system into your brain, and then you're having audio, visual hallucinations, or maybe communications. I've come across writers talking about that too, loosely, where the communicator is also implanted in your brain. If I remember, it wasn't Arthur C. Clarke, but Ray Bradbury. No, it was Arthur C. Clarke. I'm sorry, I was mistaken that one. It was Clarke. When he was writing his 2001, he didn't think that there was going to be a sequence to that, so somebody else wrote it to 2010. And then there was 3001. In the 3001 book, the astronaut who should have been dead since the first book came back to life, but he was cryogenically frozen in space. It would have been a meat popsicle during that time. He actually was a meat popsicle. But somebody revived him with current technology, and he was still alive. He should have been dead. It just didn't work out. But they had these technologies where you take space elevators to the stars. I'm thinking, that doesn't work either. If we actually start doing space elevators, do we not realize that the Earth rotates? And if we happen to do any space elevators, we can't hit a certain target because of the rotation of the planet. It just doesn't work. The physics just doesn't work in my head on that one. The idea may be good, but it's not great. We just wanted a stationary point for the thing just to move. Fine, but you can't do another space elevator to go somewhere else because it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work. But in this future, in this book, Frank Poole came alive and then discovered that people actually think letters and gets it transmitted by these little gadgets implanted in their heads. They can hear and probably see audiovisual communications. I swear we're going to be turning ourselves into Star Trek Borg one of these here days. We're going to be turning ourselves into part machine more and more. And we no longer recognize our damn humanity. Put the machines in there to replace the failing human parts, or our essence, our brains would work. Try this one, Ghost in a Machine. Actually, Ghost in a Chill. What was it, back in 70s or 80s? Somebody made this MAGA. No, I'm not MAGA. Manga. Japanese animation in the books and also in cartoon series. Or was it in 890, somewhere in that time zone? Later half of the 20th century, I'll say it. And there was a fan cult going on in Japan and then carried over to America, and then America went nuts over the damn thing. At least for some of the fans out anyway. More technology and man. Some people actually like dealing with internet hookup all the damn time in their heads. Or how about you transferring your brain from an organic body after it's dead into a cybernetic creature that almost acts like it's human, but it's not. It's not biological flesh. The only flesh would have been the brain. But what happens if you copied that information from the brain entirely and put it into a synthetic brain itself? We science fiction writers out there can create up some stuff that can challenge the theological to a max sometimes. And this scares the hell out of me. Because I used to think about that one a long time ago. I used to think along those lines. I thought about science fiction a great deal. My head was up in the clouds. No wonder I was looking like a nerd and geek all the damn time. I didn't want to have anything else doing with ugly old Earth. I wanted to go out there to the future and be there. Yeah, I discovered going through the slow crawl, dragging my ass through that kind of lifetime. My body got aged, my brain got aged, and my soul got aged. Till I figured out when I looked at the future and I'm still thinking, it's still rainy, it's still wet, it's cold and damp as hell, and nothing's changed. Weather's still the same, nature's still the same, universe is still the same, changes itself constantly, but it doesn't go for a cosmic upgrade, it just recycles itself left and right. And that's what I'm looking at, recycling. Outside these walls, outside the windows, I'm seeing recycling. But here's the thing, we're not turning ourselves into machines just yet. Well, we do have machines to take care of ourselves. Implants to help us. Implants to help hearing, vision. We're turning it to be the bionic people from the 1970s. We got the heart. Or Jarvis. Back in the 80s, 90s, made the artificial heart mechanism. Heart transplant for that monster. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. We got bionic legs and bionic arms to help people with disabilities to get along with life itself. Not to be turned into super soldiers with nuclear energy in there just to be super strong or super fast. No, we haven't got that point. We just kind of replace things with metal and plastic. And then they try to prove themselves to be almost normal. And they keep talking about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. As if we got a bad enough nightmare dealing with the Terminator series that we kept seeing since the 80s all the way through now. Different versions of the damn thing. Now we got to deal with the reality of it. Not humanoid robots trying to exterminate us. No, we're trying to exterminate ourselves with our own robots that we're making. Crude, bulky, but still there. Try to put a smiley face to them. What happens if that smiley face happens to smile evilly at us that we don't like, and then we're dead, aren't we? Do we go back to the horse and buggy days? No. I sure as hell would like to have some kind of ethics, some morality. What can and can't be done, and what should and shouldn't be done. If we can't get that done, then we're really in trouble, aren't we? So, I mourn passing of one technology to another because I grew up with it, and then I deal with the future. I thought it was wonderful technology, not just the microwave, but what you had to clap on. Hear me out on this one. Back in the 80s, developed through the 90s, and probably currently some in form or fashion. The manufacturing wizards out there created this device that used sound waves in order to turn things on and off. All you had to do was plug in your electrical items into this device, put it into the wall socket, and then its sensor would be listening. As long as it's got power fed through it, it'll work. So when you saw those commercials, clap on the clapper, the sound waves created out of our hands, the compression of air. Take an example when we have lightning and thunder in the sky. We see the light, we see the ions in the energized particles out there exploding, transferring energy from the earth to the ground, or vice versa as well. But that energy transfer created sound waves pushing the air around it, making a large sound crack and booming and stuff. It would scare the hell out of people. Snow does it. Snowstorms actually have thunderstorms in that. Scary when you actually see lightning in a snowstorm. But you would also hear it. Very frightening. But then your standard wet clouds, and you see the lightning and thunder through that one. Well, use the sound technology to activate. It uses sensors to detect vibrations in the air. As I'm talking, the vibrations of my vocal cords are emanating those sounds, and my mouth is trying to formulate what I need to say. And those sound waves go out, recorded by the mics that we have, and we're able to listen. Modern technology, gotta love it. And the modern technology concerning about the clapper. That sound wave to the machine indicates either by uh, a signal, repetition of a signal, or a variation of it. Tell it to turn it on, turn it off. The sensors would detect the sound. Not just any sound, a sharp sound. Wouldn't detect the atmospheric disturbances except in the form of a sound wave going through it. The vibrations. Once it detects a certain level of vibrations in there, the thing will turn on or turn off. It came in handy when it came down for putting Christmas lights on a tree, and then you got it plugged into the clapper, and then you don't have to keep going to the wall all the damn time, or the light switch, or even to the little tiny switch on it. You just hook it up to the clapper, and then you're like, as long as you've got hands to work with, that is. Biological hands. I'm squishing the air at a tremendous rate as I'm putting force and pressure to each other. It would create, even if I'm doing this, it would still create the vibrations and air compression squeezing out. So any mic would be able to pick it up if it was sensitive enough. As soft as that. Or our level of technology. Either we can sing the songs of modern electronics and technology, or we can grimace the hell out of the damn thing. I'll have a thing to wake up and talk about in the morning, especially when I hadn't had enough coffee this morning.